The compromises. Listen to the narration on each slide to help you answer the questions. Use the slider bar on the bottom of the movie frame to pause and to rewind anything you need to rehear to answer the questions better.
Slavery is the burning issue of the day. As America expands across the continent, North and South face off over each new territory. Will it be slave-owning or free?
The Northerners began to see that, wait a minute, they're not going to keep slavery just in the South. They want to take slavery west and to turn the country into a slave country.
Americans from all over the country are flooding into the new territories on the frontier. Each becomes a battleground. Will it be slave-owning or free? It comes to a head in Kansas. A peaceful protest turns violent. Emotions run high. Towns are terrorized. Stores robbed. Homesteads burned. North and South are polarized. Neither side will back down.
By 1820, the American idea of manifest destiny was very powerful, and many thousands of Americans were moving west. Southerners were bringing their slaves west with them. Northerners were getting concerned that soon the number of slave states would overpower them. When Missouri applied for statehood as a slave state, northern states became upset. A compromise was created that allowed Missouri to be allowed in as a slave state, but a line was created, very far south, that slavery could not spread above. This balanced the number of slave and free states, allowed Missouri to be a slave state, the South like this, and limited the spread of slavery in the West, the North like this. Both the North and South gave up something, but got most of what they wanted. The Missouri Compromise of 1820 lasted for 30 years while more Americans moved west. The 36-30 compromise line worked well until California, which had experienced a huge population explosion due to the gold rush, wanted to be admitted into the United States as a free state. The compromise line would have split California almost in half, so another compromise had to be worked out. In the Compromise of 1850, California was admitted into the United States as a free state, which the North wanted, but a new fugitive slave law, which allowed anyone to return a runaway slave even from free states, was passed into law. This was something that the South really wanted. The Compromise of 1850 only lasted for 4 years before the rivalry between northern free states and southern slave states erupted again, with settlers flooding into the Nebraska territory from both the North and the South. Everyone knew that several more states would soon be added to the United States, but would they be slave or free? The Kansas-Nebraska Act was a compromise that basically let the people who lived in those areas decide if they were going to be slave or free. This was called popular sovereignty. Abolitionists from the North and pro-slavery people from the South went to Kansas territory to cast their vote. The result was a mixing of people who were very opinionated about slavery, and a great deal of violence occurred in what became known as Bleeding Kansas. Abolitionist John Brown killed several pro-slavery people in retaliation for the killing of several anti-slavery abolitionists. The South has historically been the richest part of the United States since the early colonial days because of their slavery-based agriculture that it depended on. Slavery was an important basic way of life in the South, and they would never give it up. To many people in the North, slavery was an immoral sin against God that had to end. Since neither side would give up completely, but they needed to function together as a single country, a balance had to be maintained between the slave and free states. This balance was reworked as more and more people moved west, but it became more difficult as both sides became more intense and the hatred and violence between them increased.
As you can see on this graphic, the country changes and evolves. Watch the number of slave states in red and free states in blue change over the years. You can also keep a running count down here on this tally bar.